Good morning. Namaste to each of you. Thank you for joining me this morning to honor your mind and your body and your spirit. Let's just take a moment to become present. Find a nice, comfortable seated position on a cushion or a pillow, towel, blanket, something that allows the back of your neck and your spine to sit nice and long and tall, opening up your chest and opening up your diaphragm and opening up your heart. Gently close your eyes and soften your thoughts. Soften your eyes. Soften your shoulders. And soften your heart. Observe your breath as it is, soft and gentle, breathing life into you with each inhale and relaxation with each exhale. Feel the grace of being present, returning to that awareness again and again. You may open your eyes. For this morning's intention, you may think of a positive word or a phrase to have with you on your mat and perhaps carry with you throughout the day. This morning's intention I'd like to talk about is stillness. It's now stick season in Vermont, the 6th season. So yes, Vermont has 6 seasons. Mud season being the 5th, stick season being the 6th. Stick season reveals the stillness and the clarity of the beautiful Vermont landscape. It's now that you can see the contours of the ridgelines along the mountains and the silhouettes of the trees in the forest. It's now that you are drawn into nature's peace. The first chapter of Martha Beck's book, The Joy Diet, which I have right here, is titled Nothing. That's the title. Nothing, nothing. And in that chapter, she talks about accessing a point of perfect stillness at the center of your being. It's in that moment of silence and stillness that we find clarity and joy. So this morning's pranayama, we're going to do a breath breathing technique that is about breath retention. And with the retention, you're pausing your breath and you're becoming very still, and your mind can be very still and clear. So this breath retention technique is called Kumbhaka. And one form of Kumbhaka is box breathing or box breath. And that is where you actually form a box with your breath. Your inhale is the same length as your exhale, and the pauses between the inhales and the exhales are the same length. So you're creating this equal length breath. So let's just practice that for a moment. We're going to inhale to 4 and pause to 4, and then exhale to the count of 4, and again pause to the count of 4. So let's just begin and do that. And you can count out loud or count to yourself. Either way, I'm going to count out loud to start with, and then I'll drop off. So inhale, 2, 3, 4, pause, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Pause, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Pause, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Pause, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to drop off now and you can just continue. You return to your normal breath. And this morning's meditation, we're going to kind of reference something that's in Martha Beck's book, The Joy Diet. And meditation itself is about clearing our thoughts, stilling our mind, and becoming present. One technique she uses is to visualize a place of peace. And so if you have one, maybe it's in Vermont, maybe it's elsewhere, kind of visualize something. Maybe you're looking at mountains. Maybe you're looking down a forest path. Maybe you're looking at a tree laden with the first snow. Maybe you're looking at the still waters of a lake. Just visualize something. And this is something that her technique suggests that you can come back to when you're feeling moments of being overwhelmed or just needing a place of peace, basically, a place of stillness. There is a mudra, the Buddhi mudra, that helps to declutter thoughts and provide stillness and clarity. And that is bringing the pinky and the thumbs together, extending the other 3 fingers up. I think that's the Boy Scout or Girl Scout thing. But it helps to provide moments of stillness and clarity as well. So let's just take a few moments. Find a place of peace for yourself, and I'll meet you on the mat. You may open your eyes and we'll start our asana practice now. You're in your nice, comfortable seated position. We'll be in that for just a few moments. And bring your fingertips to the sides. And we're going to start with some sun breaths and chest openers. And I thought with the chest opener part, we can try to do the box breath. It's up to you, but you can experiment a little bit with that and just add a little bit more interest to your asana. So we'll start with inhaling, bringing the arms up overhead. Big, deep inhale. And then exhale, bringing them down to heart center. And then count to 4, opening up the hands. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then pause for 4. And then close slowly up to the count of 4. Pause for 4. And then inhale up. And exhale down. So you can do that or do whichever version you like. You can just keep going at an equal pace for all the elements. So inhaling up again. Exhale down. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale up and down. We'll do that a couple more times. Inhale up. Exhale down. Inhale, open. Pause. Close. On the exhale. Pause. And then inhale up. And down. One last time, up. Hands come together, exhale down. Inhale, open. Pause. Exhale, close. Pause. Inhale up. And exhale down. Send the right leg out in front of you, straight. And then we're gonna turn the left knee so it's facing up to the sky. And take that left foot and cross it over the right leg so it's sitting beside your knee on the outer part of your knee. And this is sage pose. And we're gonna wrap our right arm around our left knee, bringing the left fingertips behind our hips. And you can either, you turn your torso to the left and you can send your gaze to the left. If you want a little bit more twist, and this might be a little bit much for the beginning, but you can send your gaze over your left shoulder if you like. And then turn back to the front. We'll exchange legs. The left leg goes out straight. Right foot is on the mat, tucked in, and then you take that right foot and flip it over the left leg so it's sitting beside your left outer knee. Wrap your left arm around your right knee, sending your right fingertips behind your hips, twisting your torso to the left, or to the right rather. And then if you'd like a little bit more twist, you send your gaze over your right shoulder. And then come back to center. And we'll release that, and we're going to roll down on our backs. You can choose which method you like. We're going to end up in knees to chest, so whichever, knees straight out, knees bent, or tucking your hands under your bent knees to roll back, whichever you'd like. I'm do bent knees today. And just slowly lower down to the mat, and then bring my knees to my chest and give them a nice hug. Maybe rock back and forth. Wake up your spine, wake up your lower back. And then we're going to wrap our interlaced fingers around the top of our left knee and extend our right leg out straight to the bottom of the mat. And you can either have your heel on the mat, or you can elevate it slightly off the mat, whichever is more comfortable for you. And we're going to do some toe points and flexes. So we're going to inhale, pointing our toe, and then exhale, flexing both feet so the toes point up to the sky, and you're kind of pushing down into your heel, kind of digging in with your heel. And then point, inhale, flex, exhale, point, inhale, flex, exhale, point, inhale, flex, exhale, point, inhale, flex, exhale, point, inhale, flex, exhale. And then we're going to lower both legs to the mat, coming into reclined mountain. So both feet are down at the bottom of the mat or top of the mat, whichever way you're looking at it. And then we're going to slide the left foot up the inner part of the right leg so that we create a figure 4 with our legs. And then bring that left ankle over on top of the right leg, just above the knee. And come into reclined pigeon, so we can bring the right foot to the mat, sending our left knee to the side, left side. And stay here if you'd like a little bit more. You can interlace your fingers behind your leg, flexing both toes up to the sky, and gently draw that right leg toward your chest. And if there's a little bit of tension in your left leg, like there is with mine, you can send some deep, nourishing breaths to that tension, and just let go a little bit. A little bit of tension, but not pain. And then we're going to place the right foot back down on the mat, slide it all the way down to the top of the mat, keeping the left foot on the right leg. And then with your right hand, you can guide your left knee over to the right side of the mat. Your left arm can be up in a goalpost. Both shoulder blades are nice and snug in the mat. And a gentle twist to your spine. And then release that pose and bring both knees back to your chest and give them a nice hug. And maybe do a little bit of rocking on the lower back. Nice massage. Then we'll take our interlaced fingers and wrap them around our right knee, sending our left foot down to the bottom or top of the mat. And again, you can either have your heel resting on the mat or elevated a little bit off the mat, creating a little bit more emphasis on your core area. And then we'll flex our toes all the way up to the sky, pushing in our heels, kind of digging in. And then point on the inhale, flex on the exhale, point toes on the inhale, flex on the exhale, point 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 on the inhale, flex on the exhale, and one last time, point on the inhale, and lower the leg, that leg, and then send your other leg down, coming into reclined mountain. Then we're going to take the right leg and slide it up along the inner part of the left leg, coming to that figure 4 position. Taking the right ankle, lifting it up, placing it on top of the left leg, just above the knee, and then bringing the left foot to the mat. And again, we're going to guide that right knee toward the right side of the mat. You can stay in that position. Or if you'd like, you can interlace your fingers behind your left thigh, pointing both toes up to the sky, and gently guide your left leg toward your chest. Bringing your shoulders down to the mat. Lower backs on the mat. Deep breaths. And then we'll set the left foot, excuse me, back down on the mat, sliding it all the way down, keeping our right foot on our left leg. And then we're going to take that left knee and send it, the right knee, send it over to the left side, guiding it over there with our left hand. And then our right arm is up in a goalpost position. And then bringing our knees back to our chest, again, giving them a nice hug, maybe rocking our lower back again against the mat, giving it a massage. And then we're going to come up to our hands and knees. So you can either roll to the side and come up to the hands and knees, or kind of rock and roll on your back until you come up to a seated position, and then cross over your legs, coming to your hands and knees. Whatever works for you. With a tabletop, we're going to have our wrists right below our shoulders, knees right below our hips, navels tucked to the spine. Fingers are spread nice and wide with a gentle pressure in both hands, an equal distribution of weight. And we'll do a few head turns. So we're going to just gently guide our nose over to the right side, looking to the right, and then coming back to center, and then over to the left side. A gentle flow here. Keeping that pressure in your hands to keep that space between your neck and your shoulders. And then we'll just come back to center. And then we'll do some cat-cows. So we're going to round our back, drop our head and our tailbone down on the exhale. Really stretching out that back. And then inhaling, lifting our head and tailbone up, sending our gaze straight ahead, keeping that equal distribution of weight in our hands. And again, exhaling, rounding the back, dropping the head and tailbone down. Inhale, sending our gaze up and straight ahead. Tailbone comes up. I'll just keep doing that for a few moments, synchronizing your breath to your movement. Nice and slow and even. And then come back to tabletop. Tuck your toes under and we'll walk our hands back to the point where we come up onto our balls of our feet into a squat and then push down, coming up to mountain pose. So with our feet spread about hip width apart, we're going to lift our toes up off the mat and then spread them apart as far as they can go, and then bringing them back down, really gripping into the mat, sending our heels up slightly and then lowering our heels and really gripping into the mat, really feeling grounded and feeling the strength and the stability and the stillness that mountain pose provides. And also what mountain pose provides is the essentials of good posture. So with our toes pointing to the straight edge of the mat, our legs are nice and straight and strong, with gentle bend in our knees, navel's tucked to the spine, shoulders are relaxed and rolled back, crown of our head is reaching up to the sky. Chin is slightly tucked in. It's nice, the spine and the back of our neck are nice and straight and strong. And then we're going to sweep our hands up with a big inhale. And then exhale, bringing our hands down to the mat as we bend our knees. And just check in for a moment. Your body's awakened a little bit. See how it's doing. How's your mind doing? How's your spirit doing today? And then bringing your hands to your shins, flattening out the back for half forward fold. Then dropping the crown of your head down towards the earth, just letting gravity take over here for a moment. And then we'll sweep our hands up overhead, bringing ourselves up onto our tippy toes as our hands reach up to the sky. And then slowly lowering our hands as we slowly lower our heels back down to the mat. And we'll do that again. Inhale, sweeping up, slowly coming up onto your tippy toes. Maybe find a still spot that you could settle your eyes on, rest your eyes on. Help with your balance. And then slowly lowering your hands down, lowering your heels down. And one last time, sweeping up onto our tippy toes. Up and up and up. And then slowly lowering down with control. And we'll send our hands all the way down to the mat, bending our knees as we go. Inhale, bringing our hands to our shins, straightening out our spine, sending our gaze straight down, so a nice flat back. And exhale, dropping the crown of our head down toward the mat. And then sweeping our hands all the way up overhead again. And palms come together. And we'll do some supported side stretches. So I'm going to bring our right hand down to our right thigh and slide it down toward our knee, tilting our torso to the right, and then coming back up again. Palms come together. Then the left hand comes down to the left thigh, sliding it down toward our knee, tipping our torso over to the left, and then back up again. We'll do that one more time on each side. Right hand comes down, slide it down toward our knee, and then inhale, come back up. And then we'll take the left hand down and slide it down toward the knee, and then come back up again. Both hands come back down to the mat, forward fold, bending our knees as we go. Inhale, lifting our hands to our shins, creating that nice long spine and back of our neck. And then sending the crown of our head down toward the mat. Sweeping our hands all the way up overhead. Palms come together. Palms come to heart center. And I'm going to turn to the side. Because what we'll do next is just gently come into mountain pose. And keeping our hips kind of where they are, we're just going to lift our right leg up. Try not to tip over to the left too much. Just try to bring it up like you're just pulling it up. And then we're going to send it behind us, landing on the toes. And then come back. We'll do that with the other leg. Lift it up. Straight up so that we're in legs in a 90-degree angle. Balance here, and then just send it back, landing on the toe. And then come back to center. And then we're going to lift the right leg again, back to the 90-degree angle. This time we're going to send it back and land on the toe and then the ball of the foot. So we're moving down the foot just a little bit more. And then come back. And lifting the left leg up. We'll send that back and land on the toe and then the ball of the foot. And come back. And one last time, we're going to lift our right leg up. Send it back, land on the toe, then the ball, and then the heel. So you're bending your left knee a little bit more to be able to send your whole foot down to the mat. And then come back, lifting the left leg up, sending it back, sending the toe, then the ball, and then the heel down to the mat. And then we'll come back. We'll sweep our hands up again, big inhale. And exhale, bringing the hands down to the mat. Bending our knees as we go. Then half forward fold. Hands come to the shins. Nice flat back. Then sending the crown of the head down toward the mat. And then sweeping our hands all the way up, overhead. Palms come together. Palms come to the heart center. And then palms come to the back of the hips for supported back bend. So our feet are about hip width apart. The palms of our hands are resting on our hips. Fingertips are pointing down. Shoulders are relaxed. Wiggle them up, get them relaxed. Roll them back. Tucking your chin toward your chest, then just drop your shoulders back until you come to a good spot where you can still feel a nice, comfortable flow of breath. And then come back up. Well done. We'll start on the next page. All right, starting in mountain pose. We're going to sweep our hands up toward the sky and send your gaze up to your hands. And then really stretch your hands up toward the sky. And then send your hands all the way down to the mat. Bending your knees as you go, forward fold. And then your hands come to your shins, half forward fold. And then hands come back down to the mat. Placing both hands on the mat, we're going to send both feet to the back of the mat and come into plank. And we're going to stay in some of these poses, perhaps a little longer than we normally do, just to really soak in the stillness. And focus on just being still in the pose and not what's aching in the pose or what's hurting in the pose, just kind of being still. I know you all have the strength to do this, so that I'm not worried about. It's just the stillness. Okay, and then we'll slowly, either knees, chest, chin, or chaturanga, come down to the mat, elbows tucked to the side. With our hands underneath our shoulders, gently lift our chin and then chest, pressing down our hands, coming into cobra. Sending your gaze straight ahead. And then continue pushing down your hands, come up to tabletop, and then dropping your hips to your ankles for child's pose. And then come back to tabletop, tucking your toes under, lifting your hips up to the sky, come into downward dog. And we'll pedal out here for a moment. Fingers are spread wide apart, index finger pointing to the top. Arms are nice and straight, strong. Chest comes towards the thigh, elevating your hips. And then we're just going to stop pedaling. So you can just have your feet stay where they are, either heels are on the mat or in the air, or just come to a place of stillness. And then we'll walk our feet slowly up to our hands, coming into forward fold. Then sweeping our hands all the way up overhead. Palms come together. Palms come to heart center. And we're going to come into tree pose. So I'm going to start with my right leg, and starting with the toe on the mat, the right heel on my left ankle. That's one version. Or I can slide it up the inner part of my calf. That's another version. Or all the way up to the top of the thigh. And that's another version. And just be in this pose and soak in the stillness that this pose provides. And then we're going to keep our knee up in the air, just bringing it around to the front of us, coming into that 90-degree angle. And then we'll send it out in back of us and land on the mat, full foot down. And we're going to come into warrior two. So we'll have the front leg bent, the left knee's over the left ankle, back foot's at a 45-degree angle, edge of the foot's nice and snug in the mat. Then we'll turn our torso so it's facing the long side of the mat, sweeping our arms up to shoulder height, and then gently turning our gaze to our left fingertips and find a moment of stillness here. Then we'll straighten the left leg out, the front leg, and then send our left fingertips forward and then down, coming into triangle pose. So sending your left hand, sliding it down your left leg, sending your right fingertips up to the sky. And then bringing ourselves back up to warrior two. And then bringing the left forearm down to the left thigh, sweeping our right hand up to the sky. Perhaps sending our gaze up to our right hand. And then sending the right hand down to the mat. Pivoting our foot, coming into runner's lunge. And then bringing that back foot up to join the front foot, coming into forward fold. And then sweeping our hands all the way up overhead. Palms come together. Palms come to heart center. And we'll just pause here for a moment. And then sweeping our hands again all the way up to the sky, sending our gaze up to the sky, really stretching, reaching for the stars. And then sending our hands down to the mat, bending our knees as we go. Forward fold. Hands come to the shin, half forward fold, nice flat back. And then sending both hands back down to the mat. And sending both feet down to the bottom of the mat, coming into plank pose. And we'll just pause here for a moment. And then slowly lowering back down to the mat, keeping our fingers under our shoulders. We're going to lift our chin, then our chest, gently pushing down to our hands, coming into cobra. And then pushing up into tabletop, and then sending our hips down to our ankles for extended child's pose. Coming back up to tabletop, we'll tuck our toes under, send our hips up to the sky, coming into downward dog, and pedal out here for a moment. And then we'll just let our feet be still. Be still in our pose. And slowly walk our feet up to our hands, coming to forward fold. And then sweeping our hands all the way up overhead. Palms come together. And then palms come to heart center. And we'll do tree pose on the other side. So the left foot, the toes can be on the mat, heel on your right ankle. Or you can send your left foot up to the inner part of your right calf. Or all the way up to the top of the thigh. And just stand in tree pose. Just like the trees are now, very still, no leaves rustling. Beautiful silhouettes of the trees. They're in a place of peace right now. No growth, no fluttering of leaves, no dropping of leaves, just stillness. Then we'll bring that left knee forward, having our leg up in the air in a 90-degree angle. And we'll send it back of us, coming down on our toes and the ball of foot and then the full foot. And we'll come into warrior two. So you can wiggle your way into your favorite warrior two position. Right knee over your right ankle. Back foot at a 45-degree angle. Torso's facing the long edge of the mat. We'll lift our arms up to our shoulders. And then slowly, gently turning our gaze to our right fingertips. And then slowly straighten out your front leg. And sending your right fingers forward. And then dropping them down to your right leg, coming into triangle pose. So sliding that right hand down to the foot, to the mat. Sending the left hand up to the sky. And then coming back up to warrior two. And then sending that right arm down to the right leg for extended side angle. Sending your left hand up to the sky, sending your gaze up to your left hand. And then sending that left hand down to the mat, pivoting into runner's lunge. And then bringing that back foot up to meet the front foot, coming to forward fold. And then sweeping our hands all the way up overhead. Palms come together. Palms come to heart center. And then our feet will come out to the edges of the mat. Pinky toe on the edge. Heels tucked in at 45 degrees. We'll do a wide-legged squat. So sending our hips down toward the mat, sending our torso between our legs. Our elbows will rest on the inner part of our knees. If you like, you can slide your hands down toward the mat, really increasing that stretch. And then bringing our sit bones down to the mat. We're going to roll down on our back. So again, you can pick whichever method you'd like. I'm going to do what I did earlier, knees bent, slowly rolling down. And the knees come to the chest. Give them a nice hug. Rock a little bit just to give that lower back a nice massage. Maybe make some nice big circles with your toes. One way and then the other. And then we'll do a few rowboats. So we're going to put our hands on grabbing our knees and extending our arms forward, fully extended, opening the knees to each side, bringing the soles of our feet together, and then bringing our knees back toward our shoulders, and then closing our knees over our chest. Okay. Extending our arms forward, pushing our knees away from us, opening the knees to each side, soles come together, really feel that connection, and then bringing the knees toward our shoulders, and then closing the knees over our chest. Do that a couple more times, extending fully, opening the knees to each side, guiding our knees toward our shoulders, and then closing them over our chest. And one last time, extending our arms. Just pause for a moment and then opening the legs. Soles come together. Just pause for a moment. And then guiding our knees toward our shoulders. And just pause for a moment. And then slowly closing the knees over our chest. And then we'll send our arms out at shoulder height to each side. Slowly dropping our knees to the right on the exhale. Slowly turning our head over to our left fingertips. Sending our gaze back to center, sending our knees back to center. We'll slowly lower our knees to the left side. And then once they've landed, slowly turning our gaze over to our right fingertips. Inhaling, bringing our head back to center. Inhale, bringing our knees back to center. And then slowly lowering our legs to the bottom of the mat, preparing for Shavasana. Sending our feet to the corners, letting them just relax and flop open. Letting our arms come alongside us with the palms up. Big inhale and then big exhale. Just relax and release. Closing our eyes. Placing a gentle smile on our lips. Today's poem is titled Song for Autumn by Mary Oliver. In the deep fall, don't you imagine the leaves think how comfortable it will be to touch the earth instead of the nothingness of air and the endless freshets of wind? And don't you think the trees themselves, especially those with mossy, warm caves, begin to think of the birds that will come, 6 a dozen, to sleep inside their bodies? And don't you hear the goldenrod whispering goodbye, the everlasting being crowned with the first tuffets of snow? The pond vanishes, and the white field over which the fox runs so quickly brings out its blue shadows. And the wind pumps its bellows. And at evening especially, the piled firewood shifts a little, longing to be on its way.